Hi. I've been thinking about something recently, and it's one of those things that's quite easy to miss, but actually affects a lot of men. uh, Before I get into it properly, hi, I'm John. I'm a dad of two boys, and I spend quite a lot of time thinking about life. You know, what matters, what doesn't, and how to actually live well. And uh, how I can give my boys a better chance of building a good life for themselves. And one thing that keeps coming up for me is this: just how easy it is for a man's life to drift. Not collapse, not fall apart, just slowly drift. Because when you look at most men's lives from the outside, everything looks all right. They've got a job, they're getting through the week, they're doing what they're supposed to do. But underneath that, there's often this quiet feeling that something's a bit off. And the strange thing is, it doesn't usually happen because of one big mistake. It's not like men wake up one day and think, right, I'm going to mess my life up. It's much more subtle than that. It's small things, a few habits that don't really help, a few evenings where you just switch off, a few days where you don't really do anything that moves you forward. And this is the big one, I think. Most men don't actually use their days to grow. They just get through them. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you sit down, scroll a bit, watch something, and then the day's gone. And you think, well, I'll sort things out properly later. But that later idea, it's a bit dangerous. Because later comes around faster than you expect. And the real issue isn't that men are doing anything terribly wrong, it's that a lot of time just gets wasted. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way that alarms you, just quietly. A few hours here, a few hours there, a few days where nothing really happens. And over time, that adds up to years. And I've seen this in my own life, and in other men as well. Good men, capable men. They're not failing, they're just not really moving forward either. They're kind of stuck. And that place, that in-between place, is where a lot of men end up without even realizing it. Because drifting doesn't feel like a problem. That's the issue. If something breaks, you fix it. If something hurts, you deal with it. But drifting? It's quiet. It doesn't shout at you. It doesn't force you to pay attention. It just slowly pulls you off course. And one of the biggest areas this shows up is time. How you actually spend your time. Because you might tell yourself, I've had a long day. I'll just relax tonight. And that's fine, sometimes. But then it becomes most nights, then most weekends. And before you really notice, you're not building anything. You're not improving anything. You're just passing time. And look, I'm not saying you shouldn't relax. I definitely do. Probably more than I should sometimes, if I'm honest. But there's a difference between resting and drifting. Resting helps you recover. Drifting just keeps you still. And the same thing happens with your health. When you're younger, you can get away with a lot. You don't think too much about what you eat, or how much you move, or how well you sleep, because nothing forces you to. But over time, those small choices start to show up. Not all at once, just gradually. A bit less energy, a bit more weight, a bit less motivation. Until one day you realize you don't quite feel like yourself anymore. And you didn't notice it happening because it happens slowly. That's how drifting works. And it's the same with money, discipline, relationships. It's rarely one big mistake. It's small things, repeated over time. So, what do you do about it? Well, you don't need to suddenly become perfect. You don't need to have everything figured out. But you do need to start being a bit more intentional. Just a bit more aware of what you're doing. Instead of letting your days just happen to you, you start asking simple questions. What am I actually doing with my time? Is this helping me move forward? Or am I just staying comfortable? And, those questions aren't always easy to answer, but they matter. Because whether you realize it or not, your life is being shaped right now, every single day. The habits you repeat, the things you accept, the way you spend your time, they're all building something. And the good thing is, you don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to start making slightly better choices. Go for a walk instead of sitting down again. Cook something decent instead of just ordering whatever's easy. Put your phone down a bit earlier. Small things, but they add up. And over time, they take you in a completely different direction. And, if I'm being honest, this is something I still work on myself. I still drift sometimes, but I notice it quicker now, and that makes a big difference. Because once you notice it, you can adjust. And that's really the goal. Not perfection, just awareness. And if my boys ever watch this one day, there's something I really hope they understand earlier than I did. You don't need to have everything planned out. You don't need to know exactly where you're going. But don't just drift. Pay attention to your life, because it's very easy to wake up one day and realize you've spent years just going through the motions. And you deserve more than that. You deserve to build something, to feel proud of how you're living. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you start being just a little more intentional with the time you've got. Because time, it doesn't make a lot of noise. It just keeps moving. So don't let it carry you somewhere you didn't mean to go. Take a bit of control, even if it's small. Because small changes, over time, become a completely different life. And that's something worth paying attention to. All right, that's what I've been thinking about. I'll see you in the next one.